Hello, this is Goku for some 1, and I'm back. Me, BKcritic and DeathattacksReviews are doing a top 10 video game franchises list. Now, I do have to apologize about last week. Basically, I believe the problem was numbering issues. BKcritic, if for some reason, because he did his 4 and 5, and we were on, last week was supposed to be week 3. And then I realized that my week 4 was titled week 5. So I think that was the problem. If that was not the problem, you can please comment, BKcritic. But DeathattacksReviews, I don't know if he's coming back, but he did do one video, so he is part of this. So let's just get into the video. We're near the end here. We're on number 3, and this is a big one for me. This is one that I've played this series for years. So, it's Metal Gear Solid. Now, I don't take away the original 2 Metal Gear games, but this is not part of that list, and also the PSP games are really not part of the list. So let me get in a mini review of the first game, and then I'll get into why I love Metal Gear Solid. So, you play a retired, I don't know, he's a retired something, I forgot what he was, but he was retired from some group, I think the military, but you're the only one who can get to Alaska and take down a terrorist cell. So you're rehired, and you have to go infiltrate a terrorist cell that apparently has this nuclear weapon called, or that has this, like, big weapon called a Metal Gear. It is a gigantic robot that can shoot missiles whenever and however, and so you have to take down a terrorist cell. There's a lot of intrigue. There's a lot of good storytelling here, and there's a cliffhanger at the very end of the first game that leads to the second game, because this is essentially its own story. It doesn't rely heavily on the first 2 games. You have to know nothing about Metal Gear 1 and 2 to understand Metal Gear Solid, the franchise. Now, going forward, you do have to play them in chronological order. It is that type of story. Essentially, the main character is Solid Snake. He is your gruff, rough, tumbled, retired guy. He's not somebody you want to mess with, but he is somebody you want on your team. And then there are a large group of terrorists led by Liquid Snake. Now, I'm not going to really get into much detail. I don't really want to ruin the game. But the mechanics are great. The game is great. The game plays exactly how I would love it to. It's fun, but it's a stealth-based game. So if you don't like that type of game, you might not like it. But this was, in my opinion, one of the first ones. And unlike others, unlike Metal Gear Solid 4, it doesn't really lend to your style as much as Metal Gear Solid 4 does. But you do have options. You can fight people. You don't lose if you're caught. You are fighting an army, and it does feel good. And I never like stealth games where if you get caught, it's not about trying to escape, it's about, restarting the level. I've always hated that about stealth games, and this never does that. I know a friend of mine complained about how he doesn't like Metal Gear Solid because when you get caught, you lose, but you don't. Now, there is a mode, I think you do, but it's a mode. The main game, you don't. So, why do I like Metal Gear Solid? I love the story. That's it. That's the reason it drew me. I'm not a stealth-based gamer, but I love the story. The fourth one might be the best game as a game. The first one's the best game for the story. Arguably, the story in the last game is really good, but that's arguable. It's good, but really good or great is arguable. The story in the first one is everything you want it to be. The fourth game tries to tie up everything, and it doesn't. Now, the reason why I'm talking mainly about the first game and the fourth game are those are kind of your big games. The other ones do what they do well, but they don't do anything extraordinarily well. The second game misled you completely, and you don't play a Solid Snake. And yet again, one of my complaints about the fourth game is that they didn't continue this trend of you not playing as the main character, because in the third game, you play as his father, which I'm not going to get into that because that is a spoiler. So yeah, great characters, great story. This is a series you've got to play. I mean, it's a really good series. Metal Gear Solid is just a fantastic series of games. Every game is great. There isn't a bad one in what, unless you want to talk about the acids, and I think the Game Boy one. But the main games, yeah, if you stay away from the handheld games, there isn't a bad game in the lot. And also, stay away from the second game for America. If you want to play Metal Gear 1 and 2, go get Metal Gear Solid 3, whatever, the one with the S, and do not get the dual pack with 3. You won't get it. You need the second disc, and the second disc, because it is the online disc, but it has Metal Gear 1 and 2, and they're the real games. Or you can always go for emulators. I don't approve of that. But other than that, the American adaptations are bad, so avoid them. Do not buy it on the original Nintendo, either 1 or 2. They're not the real games, and the number 2, Revenge of Snake, or I don't know what the game's called. It's not Metal Gear Solid. It's not Metal Gear on any level. It's a run and gun kind of Contra-like game. It's not. No. Okay, that's it. That was my yeah, that was it. Please stay tuned for number 2. It should be next week if everything goes according to plan. This was Goku for some 1. Join the list. Come on. We are almost near the end, but we wouldn't mind you joining on. Just leave make a video attached to this one. You can do your 10 through 3 if you want to. This is Goku for some 1, and I'll see you next time. YouTube.